So let me explain a little how and why we began using this framework to understand an array of related mentoring skills. We realized early on, while researching best practices for our mentor training, that there were many ways of understanding and defining mentoring. Over time, we started organizing these different notions of mentoring into 3 buckets, as they related to 3 different mentoring roles: an advisor role, an educator role, and a supervisor role. The advisor role is responsible for supporting the career growth of trainees and building engagement and working together. The educator role is responsible for ensuring that all trainees are trained adequately with sufficient foundational knowledge to take on new tasks and projects independently. And finally, the supervisor role is responsible for the productivity of trainees in ensuring that they understand what is expected of them, provide them with actionable feedback and the resources needed to perform their delegated tasks. In our experience with the mentors at UCSF, and we recognize something very similar at play when talking with the CCSF supervisors, there is a tendency to embrace mentoring enthusiastically as it relates to the advisor role and the educator role. But there is some apprehension around assuming the supervisory role, to the extent that this role focuses more on productivity and getting work done, and somehow seems to compete with the other mentoring goals related to learning and career development. We firmly believe that one needs to be mindful of all these roles and recognize the value of each in strengthening and sustaining a good working relationship. We also realized that the supervisory role was the least understood and the one that most of our mentors wanted help working on. So this is why we highlight this in our mentor trainings.
All right, so I'm going to take it from here. So as James said, obviously we are going to focus on the supervisory role for this workshop, which again was the place where we found the mentors that we had at UCSF really didn't have as much experience, and what we thought might be useful for some of you as well. So before I move on, I just want to make sure I'm dropping in the chat one more time the link to the Google Drive that we have, and I want to make sure that everybody makes a copy of the worksheet and resources Google Doc so that you can do some of the assessments as I'm going on. So supervisors absolutely matter. And so we like to say when we do these workshops, it's important to play your position. And the position as a supervisor really covers 7 predominant responsibilities beyond hiring and firing. 1, setting expectations and taking a baseline assessment. 2, teaching and training and delegating effectively. 3, giving kudos and corrective feedback continuously. 4, recognizing progress and rewarding achievement. 5, articulating and enforcing consequences. 6, managing conflict. And 7, providing support. It's very unusual in almost any setting for any supervisor to be good at all of these things. That's certainly not equally good. So one of the things as I go through is describe a little bit more by what we mean by each of these responsibilities. But I'd love for you to go ahead and open that worksheet. And it should look something like this. It should be on page 2 of that worksheet. And the idea is that as I go through these, is just to take a self-assessment. What things do you think you're like, yeah, I got that. This is a supervisory skill I'm really solid at, to ones that maybe you would like some additional support or resources or training in. So this is just a self-diagnostic as we go through.